And I think when we look at the leadership now of Michelle O'Neill, obviously the Lucid Talk poll just came out there recently and placed her as in the public's eye, the worst of the Northern leaders.
Yeah.
Do you think that accurately reflects Michelle O'Neill's leadership of Sinn Fein? Now, obviously, that includes 3 years of deadlock within Stormont. Do you think she's adequately managed Sinn Fein in Stormont and adequately managed Sinn Fein in this new decade approach?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to just take into account the circumstances she was placed in. I think so. Like you're saying, she's had 3 years where the party hasn't even been able to do anything realistically. Obviously, there was a lot of rhetoric talk even during those 3 years, and there was a lot of political points to be scored during that time. But at the end of the day, it was a time without parliament where no voting could take place. So, yeah, judging her on that isn't probably holistically fair. But then at the same time, she's had to deal with coronavirus. She hasn't dealt with it well by any means. Not many leaders have during this time. But yeah, we know about the scandal that happened, and whether it's harmed her or whether it's harmed Arlene Foster more, we can debate upon at another time. But she's definitely had that. But then even before all of this, on her coming into the party as leader, she had the whole issue of the fact that she is having to replace probably one of the most iconic leaders in Northern Irish politics ever. Maybe top 2 or top 3, in terms of iconic leadership. She's had to come in and replace that, and it's not an easy job to come in and replace someone like Martin McGuinness. And then Jerry Adams leaves the party as well.
Yeah. I look at Martin McGuinness as a unionist, and I'm like, oh, flip. In the last 20 years, he was pretty dead on. I have to say,
Oh yeah, he was a brilliant politician at the end of the day. There's no doubt about it. So I think having to come in and replace that. I mean, having to replace a politician who's actually liked, especially a leader who's actually liked. I mean, that's an impossible job, isn't it? Very, very few political leaders have to come in for someone who was actually liked whenever they left office. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's not a common occurrence in modern politics where the leader leaves and everyone's actually like, wow, I don't know what's going to happen after this.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I mean, is she a buffer? Is she the person who does Sinn Féin have to get over Michelle O'Neill, to really find the next leader of the party, or does she just need to grow into it? I think those are the two questions that are in place right now. Are we just witnessing growing pains? Is she just having to deal with leadership in a very difficult time to be a leader? Or is it that she just is someone who will be here for a wee bit, will then leave, and then maybe they can get someone else who doesn't have to deal with that massive burden of replacing one of the best leaders in Northern Irish politics, having to come in post or during a 3-year lockdown in government, and then have to deal with a literal lockdown in a pandemic. I don't know. What's your take on her? How do you feel about Michelle O'Neill's position?
Well, I was going to more so ask you, do you think her leadership is challenged? Do you think there's, in the top ranks of Sinn Féin, are there people going, maybe we need to have a change here?
I mean, it's hard to tell in terms of just the way political parties work. Coups happen very quickly, and they're oftentimes very, they can happen, and then whenever they are happening, they just don't happen. If you see my meaning, someone can be losing power and then somehow just regains it. So I mean, it's hard to say. I think there are people in Sinn Féin who could replace her. There's quite memorable names in Sinn Féin, so it's not like they've lost all their name brand politicians. People like Jerry Kelly and all these guys. They're known names, and if they were leaders, it's not like people would be like, who is this guy?
Yeah, I think even the more sensible option there would be the likes of Conor Murphy. He's the current Minister of Finance.
Yeah.
I know. I think he's carrying out his role as a minister extremely well.
Because that's what Michelle O'Neill was meant to be though originally, isn't it? Michelle O'Neill was meant to be the new face of nationalist politics, but it just hasn't seemed to really I mean, she doesn't feel very new. Realistically, it doesn't feel like a new politics that she's bringing necessarily. So,
yeah, okay.
Do you think maybe Conor Murphy, or not? Do you think he is actually a different brand of politics?
I don't know if he's a different brand, but I think he represents stability. You know, especially when you take on a ministerial position such as finance, I think you quickly learn the ropes of how serious top level politics is done. And I think he would bring an air of stability in after so many years of instability, especially within the executive. Obviously, with I know it's more of I know it's more of a DUP problem, but RHI and the lockdown, or not lockdown, the shutdown of Stormont for 3 years, and now have COVID.
Yeah,
I know we've singled out Conor Murphy. There's probably somebody else that we're completely forgetting, or is more likely to be in line for the leaders to be in line for leadership, but in terms of that more serious and stable, you know, less media criticism over the last few years, somebody like that I think would be the prime position to take the Sinn Fein leadership in the north. Obviously.
So then, do you agree then that Michelle looks like she's maybe out, or do you think that it's like in the balance?
I think it's almost like Arlene Foster in a way. There's murmurings of a change happening.
Yeah.
I know Sinn Féin has stuck behind Michelle lately, especially over the Bobby Story funeral and her involvement there. But I wouldn't be surprised over the next, at least in the next year or two, maybe. Well, I don't know actually in the next year or two, because we have the election coming up in about 18 months' time. So maybe she'll probably ride out that one. But maybe a few years into that mandate, there might be a change to freshen things up.
Yeah.